guys, it's Anissa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing another round of testing new foundations. So we have a lot of newness. You can expect to see some Charlotte Tilbury, JOUER Cosmetics, COLOURPOP, Tom Ford, and L'Oreal. If that sounds like something that is up your alley, then make sure to keep on watching. But before we go any further, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. Let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, guys, good morning. It is currently 7 a.m. on a Monday. I'm really excited to try the foundations in this review because we actually have a mix of high-end and drugstore. And I think today I'm going to start with the newest foundation. Before we apply foundation, we got to do skin prep. Today I'm going to be using one of my favorites. This is the SMASHBOX Photo Finish Set and Refresh Spray. I absolutely love this, especially in the morning, because it just gives your skin a second wave of energy. If you guys are new to my channel, I always do primer water and then 2 primers. Those 2 primers consist of a hydrating primer and then a more pore filling / mattifying primer. Hydrating primer first, actually a dupe for the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Hard Candy Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer, and I put my hydrating primer all over my face. Not only is this one hydrating, but it also is going to help with longevity. Next, I'm going to use my mattifying / pore filling primer, and today we're going to be using a mini size of the Benefit the POREFESSIONAL Matte Rescue. The POREFESSIONAL is one of my favorite silicone-based primers. This is so awesome because it's more of a gel base, so it has a bit of a cooling feeling. For my mattifying / pore filling primer, you're going to notice that I only put it in my T-zone. This is just going to give the oil an extra barrier to go through. The reason I don't feel the need to put mattifying / pore filling primer all over my face is because my cheeks are very normal, and you guys will see that throughout these next couple days that my cheeks literally never change. The way that they look is the same, so it kind of is a little bit of a money saver to only use this in more targeted areas. This is the brand spanking new Charlotte Tilbury Charlotte's Beautiful Skin Foundation, and I have the color 12 neutral. When I was in the store, I was really happy about the fact that I could have had a couple shades that I could have made work. This retails for $44, claims to be long wearing with a natural finish, medium coverage, and it says that it's best for dry, combo, and normal skin to hydrate, smooth, blur pores, and brighten skin. I found that if you have oily skin, you really can use more natural finish foundations. It's just all about the other products that you pair it with. I'll probably use a mattifying powder and then a mattifying setting spray. It comes in 30 shades, and what I'm noticing is that honestly, a lot of these shades are really more towards the middle section of like what would be for my skin. There's really not a whole lot of super light stuff. If you look at that fair arm, there's really not anything that would even match that girl. It does go pretty deep. There's a lot of different undertones for more of my skin. This is what the packaging looks like. It comes in an upside down pump. When I test new foundations on this channel, I always do half brush, half sponge. I'm just gonna be using my Haley's Beauty Remix Reset Complexion Sponge. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. First impressions, definitely does not have a bunch of coverage. I can still see a lot of the discoloration and stuff, but it does look very skin-like. I feel like I have a really nice natural glow. This is a perfect example, like comparison. If you can see this part of my forehead, it looks natural. It doesn't look super shiny. It doesn't look oily or greasy. Most of the time, you will get more coverage with a brush than you will a sponge. Sometimes there's really not much of a difference. Initially, you get so much more coverage. See, that is gorgeous. Like, that is what we call healthy skin. Didn't cover everything, but it definitely covered more. First impressions, I definitely like the brush side more just because it does have a little bit more coverage. I do have a little bit of extra, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on top of any discoloration that I have and just blend that out using my brush. I almost feel like that's actually full when you build it up. I love using natural foundations even though I have oily skin, but if it's summertime, probably not going to use as many. I will probably use more of a soft matte, natural matte finish. I won't just use something this glowy. It looks good to me. It's not hanging on to any of my texture weird. It just looks very your skin but better. You will find sometimes when foundations claim to be your skin but better, they're not even skin-like. To me, like skin-like foundation is something that gets rid of your discoloration and really just is more of a corrector and adds a little bit of a glow to the skin. When I think of more soft matte foundations, those to me are a little bit more filtering because they dry down. So far, I like it. I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10 because to me, shade range is something that is really important. I feel like you should be very inclusive, especially if you're good. You want people to be able to use your product, but people can't use it if you don't have something for them. Finish the rest of my makeup and I will be back. All right, guys, went ahead and finished the makeup. We did very simple, no eyeshadow, quickly filled in the brows. What I really noticed, and I think what my overall thought about this foundation right now is that it is truly a your skin but better type of deal. So it's not going to be like super filtering. If you have a lot of texture, you're still gonna be able to see the texture, but it's going to cover the discoloration. The only reason I'm worried about longevity is because it's not as filtering as what I would love for it to be. Usually this is kind of what my makeup looks towards the end of the day because you can see more of my texture. Not saying that it doesn't look good. This is not something that I would reach for if I was having like a super bad skin day. This is something that I would use if my skin was not having as many problems, which I mean, it's kind of inconvenient if you think about it. You know, you have those foundations that you rely on and go to. This would not be that. Currently it is 7:55. I started filming at 8 o'clock. It doesn't look bad. It just looks like my discoloration is covered up, but you can still kind of see the texture. And this is even with powder. I will see you guys in a little bit. Okay guys, so it is currently 12 o'clock exactly. So I've had this makeup on for about 5 hours. As you can see, forehead is definitely, the oils are breaking through. Cheeks look completely normal. Surprisingly, my oil really is not breaking through around my nose, which is usually the first place that does. I'm gonna go ahead and touch my forehead up. I thought it would be perfect to use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Perfecting Powder, and I have this in the color 3. I've been loving this as a finishing powder and as a touch-up powder. So super smoothing and filtering. Depending on what time I get out of class today, if I get out on time, I want to go ahead and take this makeup off and just do a demo of what it would look like if I were to mix this foundation with the Hollywood Flawless Filter. See, I just love it. It is so filtering. It takes away all the shine. I'm really not crazy about this foundation. I think that if you're somebody that has combo skin, I went ahead and I wanted to go ahead and get it out that way I can show you guys the foundation that I have been talking about. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I love this foundation. It's super long wearing. The only thing is that it oxidizes. You could even go a shade or maybe even too lighter than what you think you actually are. If you're somebody that is looking for a more like filtering look, you're gonna wanna go with this. Versus if you're wanting a truly your skin but better type of foundation, this is what you're gonna wanna go for. I do not expect my foundation to make my texture look better, but I do expect it to make it not look worse. It's not gonna make your texture look better. This is. As of right now, this is not something that I would go out of my way to repurchase. I will see you guys in a little bit. It is currently 5:23. Literally just walked in the house because I have my huge jacket on. I wanted to go ahead and sit down really quickly and kind of explain to you guys what I'm thinking about today. A couple hours ago, I checked in with you guys, touched up my forehead, and I did not touch my T-zone. And for me to be wearing this makeup for 10 hours, the pores look good. Whatever is doing around here is happening up here, and that didn't happen today. I wanted to go ahead though and let you guys know that I do have a little bit of time today, so I wanna go ahead and take this makeup off and try these two together like I told you guys. And you know, I was thinking on my way home, to be just completely blunt with you guys, I feel like in general, if you're somebody that suffers with texture and acne, you're not gonna love this. I'm really conflicted because it's not bad, but I just don't think that it's for me, if that makes sense. I think that this is the first time that I've tried a product that just, you know, there's a difference between sometimes a product just being bad and it just not being for your skin type. And I think that this product has made me realize that I can tell the difference between that now. This is not something that I would go out of my way to repurchase, but it's not something that I'm going to declutter because I could see myself using it again. What I do like about this foundation though too is that somebody actually asked me if I was wearing makeup and they're like, oh, it doesn't look like you have any makeup on. I honestly feel like I could throw this on one of those days that I'm not trying to be super beat and I don't necessarily feel like I need to look like a filtered queen. Take this makeup off and I will be back. Okay, so I went ahead, washed my face, let my skincare kind of sink in a little bit. Since I liked the brush application better with both of these products, I'm not gonna do half brush, half sponge. I'm just gonna do all brush. I'm not doing a wear test or anything. I just wanna see if my initial thoughts are any different than they were today. In this Charlotte Tilbury, I am in the color 14 neutral. Mixed in a little bit of this LA Girl Pro Color Foundation Mixing Pigment because I know that this oxidizes. This is the before, this is the after. First impressions, I definitely like the two mixed together better than just that beautiful skin foundation on its own. Before, after. This is way more my vibe. I do like the two mix better together. Do I think that you need to go out of your way to buy both? No. 7 out of 10. This is a product that I seriously would have to tell you guys to just try for yourselves. I don't agree with the fact that this is blurring. It's not anything extraordinary, and I feel like for the price, this should be extraordinary. Let me know if you guys have tried this down in the comments and also what you've heard other people say about it. I'm gonna shut up and I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Guys, welcome back. It is day number 2, which means we are ready for foundation number 2. Before I introduce today's foundation, I wanna go ahead and just get primer out of the way. For my primer water slash spray, I'm going to be using this NEUTROGENA hydrating setting spray from the Hydro Boost line, and this does have hyaluronic acid in it. For my hydrating primer, I'm going to be using this Huda Beauty Hydrating Water Jelly Primer. For pore filling slash mattifying primer, I'm going to be using my Rare Beauty Pore Diffusing Primer, and this is a mini. Today's foundation is another high-end foundation. This is the JOUER Essential High Coverage Cream Foundation. I have this in the color Cocoa. It claims to have full coverage, and skin types that are optimal for this foundation are oily in combination, so perfect for me. Finish is matte, and it claims to be a lightweight, long-wearing foundation with supreme coverage and an impeccable airbrushed matte finish. It comes in 50 shades. 50 shades is impressive, but I want to go ahead and see what the shade range looks like. Shade range is pretty impressive, especially on the darker side of things. I feel like they have not only a lot of shades, but also a lot of undertones. I feel like they definitely could maybe go a little bit lighter. And I tread lightly when I say that because I know that I'm not lighter, but it comes in a glass bottle that is like a frosted glass, and then you get a really nice pump. I'm not sure why the pump isn't working, so I'm just gonna go ahead, put it on my face like that. I have one of my favorite makeup sponges of all time. This is the e.l.f. Marshmallow Blender. So super soft. Oh, they were not kidding. I feel like when a foundation claims to be full coverage, not medium to full, that is a very big claim to live up to. It's not the best color match that I've had, but it's okay. I think I can make it work. Looking up close, all of the discoloration on my face is gone. I can obviously still see my texture, but it's not accentuating my texture. I want to go ahead and do the brush side. I think I like the brush side just a little bit more because I think it looks a little bit more airbrushed. It depends on what foundation I'm using. Some foundations I prefer a brush, some foundations I prefer a sponge. Sometimes it doesn't make much of a difference, and that's why I really think that it's super important that I do half and half for you guys every time. First impressions, one of the things that I love about this foundation is that it is not super thick and heavy. I love the Juvia's Place foundation. It is one of the most full coverage things that I've ever used, but it is very thick. It's not heavy feeling, but it is thick. Like, you really have to sit here and blend for a couple minutes to get it all blended out. So this is the brush side, and this is the sponge side. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10 because the pump doesn't work. What I wanted to mention with this foundation is that with most matte foundations, I found that they almost go from a liquid to a powder. Not so much of a powder that it's actually powdery, but they dry down, and this is not really drying down. I went ahead and finished the makeup. I don't like the blush that I used, so I feel like my cheeks look ridiculous. While I was applying the foundation, I was having a lot of mixed feelings. I mentioned before I started applying the rest of my makeup that I felt like it really didn't have a super matte finish. When I was applying my foundation, I just didn't feel like it had a matte finish. Well, I really don't feel like this is very filtering. It does a really good job at covering, but it's not really doing any smoothing, and I can still see my texture. It's not making my texture look worse. I like to compare things to the NARS Soft Matte Complete Foundation because that is my favorite of all time. It does such a good job of leaving a nice soft matte finish, but also partially acting as a powder and filtering. I like it, and I like the coverage that it gives, and I feel like now that I have powder on, I look a little bit more filtered, but I just don't know if I agree that it has a matte finish. It is 11 o'clock right now. I started filming this at about 10:30. I will check in with you guys in a couple of hours. It is currently 6:36 at night, so I've had this makeup on for exactly 8 hours. I do like the foundation. It's very full coverage, but it is not a matte finish. You can see the product completely transferred from right here on my cheek and also over here and on my nose. As far as my oils breaking through and stuff, it's pretty normal. My cheeks look normal. Forehead's a little shiny, but it's not anything crazy. Usually when I use natural foundations, I will use more mattifying products, and I did not use a mattifying setting spray. I used a regular setting spray that just kind of helps melt the makeup together. So considering the fact that I didn't really take the extra precautions that I usually do, I'm very shocked that I look this good after 8 hours. hours. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Good afternoon. It is day number 3, which means it is time for foundation number 3. I do have my scrubs on because it's clinical day. Life of a nursing student. We're gonna go ahead and get started before we introduce today's foundation. We're gonna go ahead and do skin prep. For primer water today, I'm gonna go ahead and use this Milk Makeup Grip and Set Refresh Spray. One of my favorite hydrating primers of all time. This is the NYX Hydrating Jelly Primer. Lastly, for mattifying slash blurring primer, I want to go ahead and use this e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer. I have not used this in ages, and I forgot how good it is. I mean, if you want a good barrier that's going to make it pretty much impossible for your oils to break through, she is that girl. Today's foundation is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Foundation, and I have this in the color Dark 157W, and this is specifically the Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation. It retails for $16, which is a little bit more pricey for the drugstore end of things. It comes in 42 shades, which is actually very, very impressive for the drugstore. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the shade range on here. We have a lot of really nice lighter shades, a lot of nice darker shades, and in the middle seems to be decent. So for this to be drugstore, I am impressed. Color selection at my Ulta was very limited, so I'm already planning on having to make this color work. It claims to give healthy, natural looking skin, and it claims to be medium to buildable coverage. It has a skin-like finish. It's infused with hyaluronic acid and coconut water. You know what? That color actually made, let's see. I want to see what it looks like first before I say it may not be bad. It looked a lot more orange in the bottle. Using my e.l.f. Total Face Sponge. That looks really, really pretty. Definitely medium coverage, I would say. It looks like skin from far away. Just to see if we can build it up, I'm gonna go ahead, put a little bit extra on the marks and just concentrating that and literally just tapping right over it. It is buildable. It didn't cover up everything. The effect that I'm getting from this is usually what I get from foundations when I use the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter underneath. It looks like healthy skin. Do you see how healthy my skin looks? It does not look shiny or oily or greasy, and it's like this foundation has almost added life to my face. I do think I got a little bit more coverage with the brush than I did the sponge. I'm just gonna add a little bit extra where my spots are peeking through, and again, just stippling. That way you can get that coverage. I think I definitely got more coverage with the brush side than I did the sponge side. Show you guys what my skin is looking like first. This looks like I don't have makeup on. Up close, it looks so beautiful. It is not hanging onto my skin weird whatsoever. Right now, 10 out of 10. I love everything that is happening right now. I'm gonna go ahead, finish my face, do kind of just more of an everyday makeup look, and I will be back. All right, guys, so I went ahead, finished my makeup. Very cute, very fresh. Right here, the makeup rubbed off because I put my highlighter applicator on a little too hard and it rubbed the makeup off. I just wanted to note that way you guys didn't think that that was the makeup rubbing off. Before I put my mask on, I wanted to show you guys that. This is what the makeup is looking like. Very cute, very fresh. I did want to say though, when I'm going to put my other products on, that pretty glow that I had, that the foundation gave, very healthy looking skin, that was still there. It just dried down just a tad bit. Very, very impressed with this. As of right now, I am giving this foundation a 10 out of 10. It's so beautiful. The application is absolutely beautiful. I'm interested to see how long this wears for. Currently 1 o'clock. I started filming at about 12. So I'm gonna make that my start time. I do have class from 2 to 7, so I will try to check in with you guys. I look so smooth, and I love the fact that I was able to accomplish that. So honestly, using this product has made me a little bit skeptical of using that JOUER full coverage foundation, because it's great that it has full coverage, but it just didn't make me look smooth and healthy. It was just able to do one or the other. I'm gonna shut up now. I will see you guys in a couple of hours. Good morning, guys. It is currently the next day. We are going to start foundation number 4 today, but I wanted to go ahead and do a recap of the ColourPop Pretty Fresh, because literally as soon as I turned my camera off, I headed to class and a car hit my car. My car is not doing well. I'm fine. I just have a little bit of neck pain and back pain, but other than that, I'm okay. You know, cars are replaceable, people are not, so that's all that matters. But I was at hotmess.com, like crying, and then I just had a really rough night. So I did go ahead and film an end clip of what my makeup looked like at the end of the day. So that clip was taken at 10 o'clock, meaning the makeup had been on for 10 hours at least. First impression, one of my favorite foundations I have ever tried. Clearly you guys can see my oil definitely broke through on my forehead and around my nose and on my chin. My cheeks look fine, but even where my oil was breaking through, my skin still looked like skin. The makeup and the oil weren't mixing weird and separating. I was crying. There was tears running down my face. The makeup was not patchy, not claimed to be long wearing. I feel like it did a really awesome job yesterday. I was wearing a mask. Today we're gonna completely shift gears and do a high-end stick foundation. Before I introduce it, I wanna go ahead and do skin prep. For primer water today, I'm going to be using the MILANI Supercharged Revitalizing Facial Mist. Then for hydrating primer, I'm going to be using this MAC Mineralized Charged Water Gel. And lastly, for my pore filling / mattifying primer, I'm going to be using a mini version of the SMASHBOX, the original Photo Finish Smooth and Blur Primer. Now it is time to introduce today's foundation. This was actually gifted to me by my wonderful mother. Stick version of the Tom Ford Traceless Foundation, and this is in the color 10.5 Mocha. I have tried the liquid version of this in a TikTok. I don't think you guys have seen that foundation on the channel, but it's actually relatively nice. Do think that this is gonna be a little bit too dark. I don't know how I'm gonna go about mixing this with a pigment. We're gonna make it work. The formula is actually relatively creamy. With stick foundations, prefer a brush, but I'm still gonna do half brush, half sponge with you guys. I do like the liquid version, but it is so expensive that I only use it on special occasions because it's just so expensive. It's actually blending out relatively easily. The color isn't perfect. I'm pretty confident that with concealer and powder, I can make it work because it's not too awful. Definitely not perfect. My neck is a completely different color than what my chest is. A couple summers ago, I had some type of like bacterial infection on my neck, and it darkened my neck like 20 shades than what it is. So the rest of my skin, I'd say that I'm pretty neutral / warm. I lean more on the warm side of things than I do on the cool side, but my neck, it just looks so cool toned. I would say that this is like medium to full coverage. It's very lightweight, not heavy feeling on the skin at all. This is really easy to blend out. Like definitely one of the smoother foundation sticks I've tried. My favorite foundation stick of all time is the Hourglass. Very similar to what we were getting yesterday. This is a more like natural version of the Hourglass Mineral Veil. It's not hanging onto my skin weird. It's not accentuating my texture or anything like that. Retails for $89, so close to $100. I think that's the same price as the liquid formula. On some websites, I'm counting 37 shades. On some websites, I'm counting 39 shades. I'm trying to look at the shade range. I can't see the actual swatches because they're not showing them. You can't tell how inclusive a shade range is just because of the lightest color and the darkest color. Like it really matters how you fill those gaps in. And I'm having a really hard time. I'm gonna say it's decent. I'm not gonna say it's the most impressive thing I've ever seen. It claims to have medium coverage, which I would say it's more medium to full. Okay, on here it says the finish is natural, but then it claims to have a soft matte. It's called soft matte. It literally says, oh, why am I saying soft matte? Guys, it's too early. Nowhere does it claim to have soft matte. It's just called the Tom Ford Traceless Foundation Stick. So this is definitely a natural finish. I would agree with that. I would agree that it has medium coverage. It is a very nice stick formula. It's not super dry or anything like that. And it says it's best for dry, combo, normal skin, which I would consider myself combo. Unique cream foundation that creates a flawless, smooth finish. I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10 because I'm not super sure on the shade range. Actually, I'm gonna give it a 9 because I don't know if I would pay $90 for this. Finish the rest of my makeup and I will be back. Went ahead and finished the makeup. My version of natural makeup is like no eyeshadow. So I love the way that the skin looks. It looks very similar to the way that it did yesterday. It just looks very, very your skin but better, natural. I was able to achieve full coverage with my powder foundation. It is currently 7:49. I started filming at 7 o'clock, so I'm gonna make that my start time. Should be able to check in with you guys here and there throughout the day, hopefully. I will see you guys when I'm ready to check in. All right guys, so it is currently 1 o'clock exactly. I did a check-in with you guys at 11:30 where I didn't talk, I just showed you guys what it looked like when I was powdering. And the reason I wanted to touch up, and I wish I would have gotten the chance to yesterday, is because it's really important to me that when I'm using natural finish foundations, that when I touch them up, they don't look super cakey or anything like that, because with natural foundations, I usually do have to touch up because my skin is oily, and that's fine. Powder went on super smoothly, did not have any issues. This reminds me exactly like what I tried yesterday, the ColourPop Pretty Fresh. For that reason, I feel like I'm gonna continue to use this, but it's not something that I would go out of my way to repurchase because I have a cheaper alternative. We're at hour 6 or 7, and this is what the makeup looks like. Like, it does not look like I've been wearing makeup for 7 hours, considering that this is a natural finish foundation. I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. We are on the last day of this 5-day foundation review. Before we get into foundation, I'm gonna go ahead and do skin prep. I am trying out a new hairstyle. I'm feeling like very different right now. The middle part, and we finally did eye makeup. I promised myself, I was like, I gotta do eye makeup in at least one day that I test this makeup. As always, going in first with primer water. This is the Too Faced Prime Set Refresh Hangover 3-in-1 Replenishing Primer and Setting Spray. For hydrating primer, this is actually a newer primer in my collection. This is the MILANI Hydrating Replenish Water Cream. A lotion, which I usually don't prefer, but it's water-based, so it does not feel super heavy on the face at all. In my T-zone, I'm going to use this mini Smashbox Photo Finish Oil and Shine Control Primer. Today's foundation is literally something that I would never buy. The reason that I bought this is because I went on a huge shopping spree. I think I hauled it. I'll leave the video up here. It was bad. It is literally the complete opposite of what I would usually try, and I'm recognizing that now. So if I don't like it, it's my fault. L'Oreal Paradise Water Infused Tinted Moisturizer. I have this in the color Deep 2. It says Awaken Fresh Glow with Luminous Coverage in 24-Hour Foundation. So I actually think the reason that I bought this is because it said water infused, and it has like little really cute, if you guys can see the texture on it, it has little water droplets on it. Spirits are really high today, so I think that we're gonna make this work. There's 13 shades. I mean, we can do better. It has SPF in it. You need to be wearing your SPF year round. This is what people don't say. I'm gonna go on a little tangent for a second. People forget just because it's not hot doesn't mean the sun is not damaging your skin. It actually can be just as damaging in the wintertime as in the summertime, because when the snow is on the ground, if you live somewhere where there's snow, it is so bright because of how white the ground is, so it just reflects. It claims to be oil-free, it won't clog pores, and is suitable for sensitive skin. It doesn't say what the coverage is, it just says natural, so I'm guessing light to medium. It says that you're supposed to be able to reapply this product, maybe because it has sunscreen in it. Probably won't do that. I think I can make that work. I'm assuming that this is gonna have really light coverage. I need to clarify. Hi, this is me in the future editing. This color match, no, absolutely not. I should have put blue in, and I should have put white in, the white to light in, and the blue to neutralize, because this is so not my shade. But I just had to put that in there because I didn't want people to be in the comments like, oh my gosh, this isn't your shade. I know now. Okay, so we live and we learn. I usually prefer something that's medium to full, but I can't take points off of something just because it's not what I like. I mean, if it claims to have light coverage and it has light coverage, then it's doing its job. We're gonna fix the color with powder and concealer. This is blending into the skin beautifully. It did cover a little bit. It doesn't have an oily or greasy feeling. It actually kind of has like a refreshing jelly cooling feeling. I do have a couple tinted moisturizers, and when I use them, I always use like full coverage powder, full coverage concealer. That coverage is actually not bad. It could be because it's a little bit darker than me that it's covering a little bit better. This is very no makeup vibes. It's more of like a jelly texture. This is the before. I honestly kind of like the sponge side more, just because I think that since it already has a cooling feeling, and then having this nice sponge, it just melted into the skin like better. It did on this side too. I'm gonna fix myself. I wanna go ahead and see what it looks like up close. I feel like I have a little bit more of a glowy finish on the brush side than I do on the sponge side. But I like using a sponge because, especially if you're like me and you're heavy-handed, a sponge comes in handy because it helps take away and avoid using, and helps you avoid using excess product. This actually feels like skincare. Let me finish my makeup and I'll be back. All right guys, I went ahead and finished the makeup. This is what it looks like. I really am happy with the way that it looks. I went ahead and used full coverage concealer, full coverage powder, so I feel like I'm looking pretty decent. Very skin-like though. I am gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because the shade range is currently 753. I started filming at about 7 o'clock. I will see you guys after that. All right, guys, it is currently 2:14, so I'm on hour 7, and this is what the makeup looks like. It honestly feels like I have about nothing on my face. My face feels so lightweight. I don't even feel like I have makeup on, and that's with me having blush, contour, highlighter, powder foundation, the whole 9 on. I had like little to no transfer, and that could be the powder foundation. I really don't feel like you need to reapply this product if you get a good amount on your face to begin with. I do want to go ahead and blot. I have class, so I'm gonna have this on for at least another 3 hours. One of my favorites, the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop mattifying powder, and this is in the color Mocha. This is awesome to set your face and also to touch up with. It's amazing. So I want to go ahead and zoom in, show you guys up close how amazing this stuff is. Like, look, all your worries and troubles are gone. Like before, after. So good. And I actually used to not touch my makeup up, especially in high school, because I just didn't feel the need. But I don't know if it's because I'm in college now or what, but I do actually like to touch my makeup up. I mean, you want your makeup to look good throughout the day. So that's something that I really look for also, is our product's going to look cakey, because if they're gonna look cakey and feel cakey, I don't want it on my face. Considering the fact that this is a tinted moisturizer, I feel like the wear is very awesome. If you're somebody with normal skin, my cheeks are normal, so I feel like they're a good representation of what the makeup's gonna look like. If you're oily, you're probably going to have to touch up, and I honestly feel like this would be great for dry skin as well, because it just feels so hydrating. I'm loving. All right, it is 5:30, so I'm getting ready to take this makeup off. I've had it on for 11 hours now. I touched up at 2 o'clock with you guys, and honestly, my forehead is still looking pretty good. I had more oil break through by my nose than I did on my forehead. I don't know if it's because I was just tired this morning and I was kind of, you know, just waking up or what. The shade match, it looks so skin-like. It doesn't look perfect, obviously, and I love the fact that it says that it has natural coverage. I guess that is the end of today's video. If you guys like these videos, lucky for you, I have done 2 others like it. I will link a playlist right up here. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you guys like these types of videos, because I buy so much complexion. It's so hard to fit them all in, so these videos are perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.